This is the BBC News with Danielle Yałowiecka. Hello. Leaders of the G7 countries have said they'll provide Ukraine with military and financial support for as long as it takes, as they warned Russia against using weapons of mass destruction. The group's online meeting was addressed by the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. From Washington, here's Gary O'Donoghue.
In a strongly worded statement, the G7 presented a united front in response to 2 days of missile attacks on Ukraine by Russia. The group promised to continue providing financial, humanitarian and military support to Kyiv and promised severe consequences should Russian rhetoric on nuclear weapons become more than just words. The US and Germany have promised to provide additional advanced air defence capabilities to protect against the kind of attacks that have taken place in the past 48 hours.
Peru's public prosecutor Patricia Benavides has lodged a formal complaint with the country's parliament against President Pedro Castillo. Ms. Benavides accused the president, who took office last year, of leading a criminal organisation, as well as abuse of power and influence peddling.
Today, we presented before the Congress of the Republic the constitutional complaint against the president, Pedro Castillo, and the other members of the alleged criminal organisation.
The move will increase the pressure on Mr. Castillo hours after the prosecutor's office raided the offices of 6 MPs, as well as the home of one of the president's sisters. A BBC investigation has found that up to 70% of donations being sent to displaced families in Syria via TikTok are being taken by the social media platform. Hannah Gelbert has the details.
The gifts children and their families are asking for, like lions or roses, are virtual, but they cost real money and can be withdrawn as cash. But families in camps in northwest Syria told us they're getting a fraction of the money that's being donated, on live streams that sometimes raise more than $1,000 an hour. TikTok wouldn't tell us what commission it takes, so we went live from a test account in Syria, donating $100 in digital gifts. At the end of the live stream, TikTok had taken around 70% of the gift's value. In a statement, TikTok said it was deeply concerned by the allegations raised by the BBC and that this type of content was not allowed on its platform.
Russia has added the US tech giant Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, to a list of terrorist and extremist organisations. The two social media platforms were banned in the country in March for Russophobia after Meta said it would allow posts such as death to Russian invaders following the start of the war in Ukraine. The tech giant appealed against the ban, but it was upheld by a Moscow court in June. You're listening to the latest world news from the BBC. The president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, says he expects the number of dead in the devastating landslides to exceed 100. 39 fatalities are confirmed, but more than 50 people are still missing. Speaking during his visit to the affected town of Las Tejerías, Mr. Maduro promised the search for them would continue. The Biden administration has urged the US Supreme Court to reject an emergency appeal by former President Donald Trump in his legal fight over confiscated classified documents. Mr. Trump has asked the Supreme Court to permit an independent arbiter to review around 100 classified documents that were seized by the FBI when it searched his Mar-a-Lago residence in August. One of the world's largest marine science projects is beginning today to chart the health of Australia's Great Barrier Reef. It's the third year that tourism vessels, dive boats and fishing charters will mobilise to document the impact of climate change and other threats to the world's largest coral system. The survey is run by an organisation called Citizens of the Great Barrier Reef. Its CEO, Andy Ridley, said the project needed support on a global scale.
There is a really critically important role for citizens around the world in helping with this because, at the moment we're just looking at the Great Barrier Reef, but there's no reason why we couldn't do this on reefs across the entire planet and get a really good understanding of where the best reefs are, what's in the healthiest state, where do we really need to put the most effort into protection.
The last such survey collected more than 40,000 images, which were analysed by a legion of international volunteers. The British-born actress Angela Lansbury has died in Los Angeles at the age of 96. In a career spanning almost 8 decades, she won international acclaim as the star of the US TV crime series Murder, She Wrote. Angela Lansbury moved to Hollywood as a teenager and was nominated for an Oscar for her first film role in Gaslight in 1944. That's the latest BBC News.